Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of the 823 podcast. I'm your host, the Brickman823, and my guest this week is Mr. John Klapheke.
Hello, thanks for having me.
No problem. So, how's it been going for you?
It's been going well. We both had to align schedules to make this podcast work, but things are going well. Kind of just taking it easy during the summer, although managing to stay busy enough. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. This was supposed to release yesterday. We had some connection issues and whatnot, and scheduling didn't work out, so it's going to be today. I will upload it. Today's Wednesday, July 17th, so it will be uploaded later today. It'll be good. But anyway, so getting into some of the topics we have written down here, I figured I would start by kind of just talking about some of your recent Lego purchases.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the largest amount of purchases I've made in Lego were late December of last year for reasons that we'll talk about later in the podcast. But the most recent Lego purchases have not been that impressive. I think it was at Brick World. I only bought like a handful of bricks from my good friend H2 Brick, Noah, and it was a variety of teal and sand blue parts, which are awesome Lego pieces I hope to use in future models. But and aside from that, there was one other purchase. It was at my local Lego store. I just bought a bunch of minifigure accessories for a potentially, I guess, medieval build or something like that in the future. So we'll see what transpires. But yeah, so lots of purchases, I guess, that have very specific. They have a specific purpose to them. I've bought in the past just to have stuff, but these I'm like, okay, I want to use this for a very specific project. So.
Yeah. Did you do the build a minifigs for the store, or was it like a set that you picked up that had a bunch of figures in it? Like, what kind of
It was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the build your own minifigure thing, and what I did was actually bought. The way it works, I think, is you can put 5 different elements that counts per figure. So it could either be like you could buy 5 heads, or you could buy like one of each item, like a hat, head, body, leg, and an accessory. In my case, they had these really cool shields that I've never seen before. I think they might have been like a prototype or something, but they had like some sort of medieval crest on them. And I bought, I think it was like 17 of them or something like that. So I just bought mostly accessories actually, but they were well worth it. I think I've never seen them anywhere else before, not even on Bricklink or anything like that. So definitely something I'll use in the future. They're too cool not to use.
Yeah, absolutely. They have been putting in, like, they had the exclusive parts that they've started putting in. There's like a blue afro.
Yeah.
That's the one I mainly remember because I just saw it. I can't remember any of the other ones, but there were a couple of like pretty interesting looking parts that could be useful. So yeah, maybe those are kind of another part that they've introduced. But yeah.
It could be a Lego store exclusive, but they're definitely really neat looking. Yeah. I'll try to find a picture of one. I actually can't find it though. Yeah. They seem to be like brand new, so I doubt they've circulated that much online.
Yeah. Yep. But anyway, so I'm going to briefly address audience questions. We had one question from Phantom Bricks, but it will be addressed below, kind of in a topic that I had already written down before the question was asked. So we will address that question below. But yeah, for now, no audience questions other than that one. So, but yeah, if you do want to ask audience questions, I put a sticker up whenever I announce a guest on Instagram. and you can answer the question on the sticker, and it will be put in the podcast. So yeah. But anyway, moving on to your introduction to Lego. Just kind of talk briefly about the age that you started in the hobby, some of your first sets, when you started to take it seriously, that kind of thing.
Sure, yeah. Well, a brief introduction would be that when I was 3 or 3.5, I got a Lego Duplo train my mom and dad gave me. It was battery powered, would run around a track. And I remember playing hours and hours with that. It would go under the Christmas tree. It would be always out and about being played with. I basically wore down the gears on that model. And then, like 4 to 5 years old, I transitioned into regular system bricks, where like some of my first little creations were just building like small spaceships out of Lego and swooshing them around the room, which is pretty fun. And then actually taking it seriously, collecting, was probably 2008 when the Indiana Jones series came out. I remember getting a lot of those sets, most notably like the truck series. That was pretty cool. The truck chase, basically. And then I guess 2013 was like when I really started actually mocking. So 6 years ago was when I was like, okay, I'm going to start seriously building with Lego. And then there's one other thing I left out yesterday. Oh, it was, I started working, I worked at my local bricks and minifigs store for like 4 years. So that just kind of segued into an actual like first job working with Lego bricks. Not yet for the Lego group. That would come a little later. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And we had a conversation yesterday about bricks and minifigs and that kind of thing. And, there are, some people may think that, oh, there's just Lego stores, but there are a lot of those around the country. I didn't realize how many there were. But yeah, check your area. You may have one closer to you than you think. But anyway, so yeah, another thing we kind of talked about on the podcast yesterday that got cut off was kind of your first mock. What was your first mock?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. So my first, I actually, and this is funny, my first mock that I actually remember is not the same one I told you yesterday. It was actually much earlier. It was a small spaceship I built. I don't even remember. I never posted it anywhere. That it was a small spaceship. It was supposed to be modeled after like a Republic gunship. But the first mock that went online was a 2-story suburban house, and that I kind of count as like the starting point of mocking for me. And it was built on, I think, a 32, no, but it might have been a 48 by 48 gray base plate. And it had 2 stories, like I said. Each room was sectioned off such that it had its own particular color, and the entire house was a solid color. So basically the walls were twice as thick as they would need to be for a regular structure. So it was a very beefy house. And it had all sorts of features in it, a little den area, kitchen, bedrooms, bathroom, very, very typical house. And that was initially posted to the, I think, Lego Creator website way back in the day, probably like 2013, I guess, so 6 years ago. So that was the first mock that really kind of kicked everything off.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I mean, hey, if the walls are super thick and not going to go anywhere, at least you don't have to worry about it breaking too much.
No, it was pretty strong, but I think that was to the detriment of some of the detailing. It kind of looked a little plain. It was very whitewashed, and but at least if any bad weather came up, it would be able to withstand the storm.
There you go. But yeah, well, that's awesome, man. So yeah, kind of moving on to the next topic, your internship at Lego. You went
Yep.
there. When did you go?
The actual internship was from August through December, August, I think 13th through the end of December of 2018. So it was 5.5 months long, an internship, basically.
Wow. Um, so
Yeah.
you kind of got to experience firsthand kind of what goes on in the Lego group itself. Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
does
Mm-hmm.
this isn't really in the outline, but does that impact the way that you look at Lego now?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually it. I'm glad you asked that because that's actually something I don't talk enough about. Um, the type of Lego fan I was before I went to Billund, Denmark, and the type of fan that I am now are very different. Um, Probably most notably in that because because you literally have access to every Lego brick you could think of in any quantity that you could think of, you actually become a little cheaper in terms of what you're willing to spend on Lego. I noticed for myself, like things that I would have probably considered a good deal now, or then before, prior to the internship. Now I'm like, well, that's way too expensive. So when I go to like any brick conventions, I don't purchase as much as I used to. Um, but also just the appreciation for all the techniques that I learned, and I think thirdly, there's also this idea that like you can always close a gap, or you can always remedy some building issue that you're running into while maintaining all the bricks in system. In other words, you don't have to always use illegal techniques to build. There's usually a pretty good alternative way to build legally within Lego system. At least that's how a lot of the designers view it. So I too kind of became what's the word? I grew to understand that, and like a lot of things that we would as builders say, well, I got to use such and such technique to make this happen. You can pretty much figure it out if you just take a few things apart and often use less bricks than you normally would. So I don't know, those three things. I'm cheaper. I have a better appreciation for the techniques than I forget what the third one was, but yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. So kind of talk about um, what would you consider what does Lego consider an illegal building technique to be? Because I feel like sometimes it's a little bit of a gray area. Like people don't know what that is, and I'm myself included. Sometimes people will
Mm-hmm.
struggle to figure out what is and isn't an illegal building technique. So kind of talk about that and what that means.
Sure, sure, yeah. Well, one thing that I love to build with in Lego is using flex tubing. I love building like spaceships and like as mocks and stuff like that. And anytime I can use flex tubing, I always love doing that because I think it's a great way to bring out a lot more detail in a mock. Uh, my brickmate, the guy that basically was the designer that I was partnered with to kind of show me around Lego and be my brick mentor, if you will, he despised flex tubing, and it isn't the most viable piece to use in a lot of sets that I think you're designing, just because it's expensive. It's kind of finicky in terms of how you can actually put it onto a model that you're designing. But that's one. Other illegal techniques are any pieces that are attached such that they're very loose or maybe just held on by friction. You always want to strive when designing a good model for Lego to ensure that every piece is connected by actual brick clutch power. So like the snap that you get when you attach two bricks together, that same level of connection you want throughout the model. And so I think it's one thing to say, okay, well, like this area we could make look better by doing such and such with. Like, I don't know, you could add this and that piece. I have to be very general. I have to be like very generic, unfortunately, when describing some of the designing. But I'm thinking back to like specific things I had to work on where it would be like, okay, well, see if you can make this physically look better, but also try out these certain pieces to get a better sense of stability. So they strive to, in every model, make sure that every section is properly held on by, like I said, the classic clutch power of bricks. It not only makes the model more, I guess, just higher quality, but it can withstand, being played with or accidentally dropped or stuff like that. So that's what I kind of mean by the illegal techniques. And
Okay. Well, fantastic.
yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
kind of. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Um, so
Very good.
kind of going back onto the outline that we have here. Kind of talk about
Yeah.
how you found out about the opportunity and kind of the process of getting there.
Sure. Well, the short answer is I heard about the internship through a website called Glassdoor.com, and what this I should mention. I'll do the shameless plug like I did yesterday if I can real quick. Like the details that surround the entire application process of Lego, it could take up like 3 podcasts to explain it. So what you'll hear here is a very abridged version. But I have a video that kind of explains everything in depth of like all the paperwork that I had to do, some of the requirements, the actual like deadlines that I had to work around and face during the application process. So I'll just make that quick disclaimer there.
Yeah,
But,
I will link John's channel and Instagram down below.
Thank you. Yeah.
No problem.
So the internship I heard about through a website called Glassdoor.com, which is very similar to LinkedIn or other job finding sites like Indeed.com. So I created a profile and opted in that I was interested in working for design, more specifically interested working at Lego, even more specifically design Lego in Denmark. So they have like a bunch of check boxes that you can select based on whatever your preferences of a job are. So that was all fine, and I had forgotten to unsubscribe from the millions of emails that they send you. So on the daily, I was clearing out my inbox and moving them to my trash of all these, emails I'm getting from Glassdoor. But one day, I got an email that the title of which caught my eye, and it said, and I quote, "Are you an aspiring toy designer?" And then in the description of the email, the actual message and the preview, I could see it mentioned Lego Group in Denmark. And I was like, well, that seems really interesting. I wonder if that's what I think it could be. So I clicked on it, and it redirected me to Lego's website, where they had the actual job listing for an internship for 5 months for a student who would work in design with Lego. And the very brief requirements of that were you had to have some sort of major in college or university with a design discipline. You had to work a minimum of 37 hours a week, which is like, I guess, a full work week. And also have all of that be okay with your university. So that's the very brief outline of how I found out about it. And then that led into the application process where I spent the next few weeks, making a portfolio, making a cover letter, submitting a resume, and all that. So that's the very brief, that's the abridged version of how I found out about it.
If I can interject, kind of, what did you put in your portfolio? Kind of what is required for the internship and that kind of thing.
absolutely. So, sorry, the portfolio itself is, man, it's probably almost 30 separate pages in length, I think. I made it in PowerPoint. And the things that I submit in the first few pages of the portfolio aren't necessarily Lego. And I did that on purpose so that the Lego group would understand that the only thing I would be bringing to the table wasn't just Lego building. I also had some 3D rendering I had done in SketchUp of like a house. I did like some photography things. I had a whole page that basically showed different pictures I had taken combined into what I hoped was some sort of artistic way of presenting it. I had shown some filmmaking that I had done, some sketching, and then that actually segued into the Lego building itself. So again, the entire PowerPoint was probably almost 30 pages, maybe a little bit over in that. And yeah, each page was made really deliberately, minimal words, maximum amount of pictures. That was kind of it, just not to overflow it with words, but just show some of the stuff I had worked on and create, some links to different places where they could see it, like a YouTube video I had made and such. But I can, that also is in the video too. So if people want to see it, the recording was done on a phone. It's not the highest quality, but you can see some of the slides that I put in the actual PowerPoint I submitted to Lego on that presentation if you want to see it. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So you've got all your you've got all your paperwork ready. You've been approved to go. Everything's ready to go. Kind of, what's the process of kind of leaving what you have been doing in in the United States to going to Denmark and kind of going to a whole new place and kind of talk through that process, because I'm sure a lot of people would be very interested.
Yeah. Well, after I submitted all the paperwork, I had 2 interviews. One was on Skype. The other was just on a cell phone call. So one was like FaceTiming on Skype, basically. The other was just a regular audio call. And very shortly after that second call, I was accepted. And it was like, hooray, I've been accepted. Awesome. Now what? And it was fantastic. I was overjoyed. But that's actually when the real paperwork started. The brief overview, I'm going to speak really fast. I'm going to talk really fast to make this extra effective of all the paperwork. So, becoming a registered employee with Lego, applying for temporary residency in Denmark, registering with Danish bank and managing a pension plan, biometrics registration, registering with Setwell and DS, course approval forms, and creation of courses from my university. So, all that stuff, that's an entire PowerPoint slide I just read off of. Basically, the amount of paperwork that you have is getting things okayed with Lego, then with Denmark, basically you become a temporary citizen, and then finally with your university, and all that other stuff that I just said really quickly.
I don't think they gave you enough hoops to jump through. I think you need some more.
I'm actually still finishing paperwork from the internship, believe it or not. No longer with Lego or like the Danish bank, but with my university now. So, yeah, you're in it for the long haul. And I don't want to undersell that point. Like you do have a lot of paperwork, but it is so well worth it. The reward that you get is so well worth that work. So, just to let that be known. But then after you do that, that's when the fun part comes. And that's what you're asking about. Like, what's it like transitioning from the U.S. to Denmark? Well, I had never lived away from home before, so it was really an extraordinary experience just moving away to a country that's smaller than the state I come from. So that's pretty interesting, but very fun. Everyone was very welcoming. They helped me adjust. I was blessed to room with three great people that helped me kind of learn how to live on my own for the first time. They kind of taught me how to cook certain things, like and were just great friends to me. Everyone at Lego was amazing. So I couldn't have done it without the people that I worked with and people that I had lived with, and obviously like the support of my parents. It's definitely not a one man job. You you rely on a lot of other people to help make the dream come true for you, and I'm really thankful to them for doing that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, once you got there, you're settled into
Yeah,
your temporary Danish life. Um, what what was the internship experience itself? Kind of, experiences that you had, people that you met, and also just
yeah.
kind of general life in Denmark. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people that are aspiring to get to, where you've been. So I'm I'm just gonna let you talk and explain that.
It's amazing. It's life changing. Um, the people that I had a chance to work with at Lego were people that I had watched on YouTube for many years. I watched the design videos. I'm sure people remember like the Lego Club TV um, design videos where the designers would introduce a new model and they would show all the cool features of it. Those people that I that I watched on YouTube religiously, and hopefully, I had hoped to maybe one day just shake their hand at a convention. I'm now going to lunch with them and working with them and going to meetings with them, and we're working on models together, and we're laughing, we're making memories, and like there were so many times I had to like pinch myself and say like, am I actually here? Is this actually happening right now? Because it was so amazing. Um, so life in Denmark is pretty cool because the Lego has arranged the life of an intern to be pretty awesome and pretty convenient too, because you live only 5 minutes away from Lego. So it's a very nice little bike ride there. It's like a 7 minute bike ride to the Lego. So very nice. Except when the weather's like cold and it's rainy, which that does happen a lot. So buyer beware. You have to kind of bundle up, but everything in Billund is pretty centered around Lego. Um, my weekends were very free, where I would go to church on Sundays in a town that was like several several miles outside of Billund, and that would give me an opportunity to explore a lot of different places. I wanted to make a YouTube video about like my Danish experience, so I did a lot of filming on the weekends. And working inside Lego is rewarding because you realize you're making a difference for some kids' life, just as like these designers made a difference in your life. And just to even be a part of that is so incredibly humbling, and it's fun too. It's so fun. Like you have unlimited Lego bricks at your disposal, and you are actually working on something that could potentially be released, which is pretty fun too. So
I don't know if you can. I don't mean to cut you off.
memorable experience. What's that?
I don't
Nope,
know if
no,
you
that's
can.
fine.
I don't know if you can talk about this. But have you worked? Did you work on any sets that have come out right now? I'm not sure if you can talk about that or not, but
I no, I worked on two models that will be coming out. They have not been even announced yet. So unfortunately, I can't talk about those. But what I can tell you is that the team I worked on was a creator expert, which those guys are like the guys that I guess the most recent release from them has been the Harley Davidson motorcycle that was announced, right? So that was pretty cool. So I had a chance to see that in development, in addition to the one modular that they released, which was like the gas station thing, the orange one. Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Oh
Dark
yeah. I
orange
have it on
modular.
my shelf. It's a
Yeah,
good set.
yeah. Do you? Yeah, yeah. It's a brilliant set. So those were some of the first things that I saw when I was introduced to Lego, and one of my most memorable experiences actually of working at Lego was the first day on the job. I remember they had all gathered us into the main lobby of the design house, and we were all assigned to our different teams. And I knew which team I was going to be on, but I didn't know who from there was gonna take me back to the area where we would design. And so my boss Jamie and my brick mentor Mike both came and took me back behind the closed doors. And when those doors opened, it was, I don't even know how to describe it. Like it happened to be a sunny day, so all the light was just pouring through the windows. Everything just looked heavenly. It was I don't even know how to describe it, man. Like I just felt my eyes get like 10 times bigger. I was like a kid in a candy shop. And immediately, and I mean immediately, as soon as those doors close, boom, they start briefing me on this model that we're now working on. Like they gave no hesitation at all, and I loved it. I think they did it kind of for comedic effect, because they knew how big of a fan I was, and like that I was just freaking out. But I was trying to pay attention to them, and then also like take in everything around me. It was incredible, man. Like I can't even begin to describe it. And immediately, like as soon as I walked back through those doors, they took me to a meeting, and I got to meet more designers, and we started working on a model right then and there. That was incredible. Wow. That really honestly has to be my favorite memory, was like just the first 5 minutes of working on Lego. It was like, whoa, complete adrenaline rush. Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure that was well worth it after, the weeks of paperwork, all of it coming
Yeah.
together finally. I'm sure that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so
Yeah.
for those of the viewers who are interested, kind of who did you work with? Some of the designers that people may have seen on the designer videos. Kind of who did you work with?
Yeah.
Primarily.
Definitely. Yeah. My boss was Jamie Berard, who is he works on Creator Expert. So he was my manager basically. He is in a lot of the designer videos for some of the modular kits that come out. My brickmate, the guy that was kind of like my mentor throughout the whole internship, was Mike Psyche. He's the one that Mike designed the recent motorcycle that came out, the Harley Davidson. He also designed the Aston Martin, the DB5, the Mission Impossible car, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And so those two were basically like the main guys whom I would be in communication with for the internship. There was also Lars Joe Hildig, I think is how LJ. If you're watching this, I hope I pronounced your last name properly. I think it's Hildig, and he designed the lunar lander, which is a brilliant set. I love that model. The recent Creator Expert Apollo 11 mission.
Yes, I saw that set in the store
what else did I
display.
work with?
It's definitely a cool one. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Yeah.
you off.
Yeah. No, that's who else did I work with? Roke Kobe. Roke is the architecture guy, so he does a lot of the architecture models. So it was really those people had a lot of. They were all kind of like on the expert side now. So we worked next to Creator, so I got to work with Tiago, Jeremy, Jonathan, Gemma, Torben, Who else am I leaving out? Oh, Morton, um, and John. Um, all these people were just very helpful and very communicative to me, and always willing to have a conversation about like just working at Lego or just talking, just being a great friend. Yeah. So a lot of people, probably the ones that people would recognize from the designer videos, just because they've been in a lot, are probably Mike and Jamie. Yeah, and LJ with his recent Apollo 11, the lunar lander set. So, and it was just surreal, I think, to be able to have these people that you're working next to, whom you like. I idolized as a kid, but yet they're so friendly and so authentic and accessible. Just not only being like right next to you, but also like they really do want to help you. Like if you have a question about something, it wasn't uncommon for me to go over to one of the tables or one of their desks and be like, hey, I'm working on this thing. Do you have any tips how I can close this gap or make this look more real or better? And they would always have great advice for me. So yeah. In fact, one of the greatest memories also I had of working at Lego was Mike, my brickmate. I remember there was a video of him several years ago where they would have like a quick intro into each video. And one of the things that he would wear in the intro to the video was this helmet. It was like a custom, I guess, X-Wing pilot helmet. And I think he built it just for fun, but it's featured in the video. And it only shows up, it's published on their YouTube, but it's only like a fraction of a second in the video. And what was really cool is I got to wear that helmet. And that was just incredibly humbling. I never thought I would ever see the thing, let alone get to wear it. So it was just incredible, dude. Yeah.
That's fantastic, man. And
I could talk about this all day.
I mean, hey, you're more than welcome to. But anyway, they were, so, you've gone in and you've talked to, several designers. What was kind of a building technique or, something that you learned about that you had no idea had existed before, or just, it was just something that you hadn't thought of before? I guess the easy way to structure that question is, what was your favorite building technique that you learned?
Oh, my favorite building technique that I learned. Well, I think that really afforded itself well because I had the blessing to work with Mike, my brickmate, and Mike is arguably, even among people inside Lego, agree with this. He's probably the best builder of all time, or one of the greatest builders of all time, because he thinks in Lego. And so getting a chance to work with Mike, he would work on some really cool projects, many of which I cannot talk about, but will soon hopefully be announced. And I would witness him be able to, I've said it a lot in this interview already, but like closing gaps. And what I mean by that is, if you're making a frame for something, or if you're trying to make some model that you're working on look as seamless and as smooth as possible, there's always a way to do that with Lego all in system through closing a gap, usually with like a wedge plate or some sort of modified brick. And so it isn't so much a technique that I've learned as it is a technique that I learned to be implemented a lot more than it is. We consider, whenever we see mocks on Flickr or something or anything like that, or Instagram, we as the Lego community, as Lego fans, I think really admire it when people are able to close gaps and whatnot. And yet I don't know if I had ever noticed how much that is done in a lot of the creator expert sets. So that is something that I really learned to try to do more of now that I'm building just for myself now, just as a hobby. Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. So, you've gone through. I'm trying to, obviously I wasn't there, but I'm trying to talk viewers through what you're doing. Um, so you've
Sure.
gone through, you're in December now, kind of the close to the
Yeah.
end. Um, what
Yeah.
what were those last, what was the last week like in your internship?
Crazy. Crazy. Um, because I was trying to finalize. So one of the great things that I did was, or not that I did, but like that they suggested I do, was they suggested I compile together this portfolio of all the stuff I had worked on at Lego and like, give it to them, to the designers, to be like, hey, I'm leaving, but here's some stuff I worked on. Because, all of it's confidential, so you can't really take pictures of it outside of work. And unfortunately, I'll never have those pictures of stuff that I worked on. But I made a confidential PowerPoint, and gave it to them. And that was a bigger project than I had anticipated, because what I was doing is I was photographing a lot of the models that I worked on, made sure each of them were picture perfect, and kind of making like another portfolio, except in a lot less amount of time, to submit to Lego as kind of like, should I decide to come back in the future, here's some stuff I worked on. Also just like, I don't know, just as a final project. So there was that, and also finalizing my school assignments that I was working on, because I have weekly assignments basically, or near bi-weekly assignments that I have to work on while I was in Denmark. So there was that. And then physically finalizing a project I was working on as a sketch in bricks for a project. And then also just kind of like cleaning up my workspace and packing my things and making sure that my flights were on time, aligning with my parents when I would arrive back in the U.S. So there was a lot of things to juggle at once. But the I think where everything peaked and everything was the maximum amount of craziness was the actual last day at Lego, it was emotional. It was really emotional, because like this had been my dream, and I had to leave it. And yeah, I mean, you really do tear up a little bit. But what made that easier was the last day of work, we had a company-wide Nerf gun fight inside the design area.
Oh man.
And I don't even know how to describe it. It was just chaotic. It was amazing. It's amazing.
So you're in a Nerf war. What is your go-to Nerf gun? What is your go-to Nerf blaster?
It was truly as crazy as it could have been, and it was just whatever was available. It was mass chaos. There are two levels. Like the actual innovation house is like 2 stories, so it was like upstairs versus downstairs, I think, was the idea. And we had like little barriers that we could hide ourselves behind, but we also risked like shooting down actual like Lego models that are up on the shelves. So it's kind of this fine balance between like trying not to hurt your coworker and also trying not to destroy the thing that you've been spending months working on. But my go-to Nerf weapon was like, it was a pump action machine gun. It was a semi-automatic, and I very valiantly charged into battle with that. I had an American flag bandana on my head. I felt like Rambo. It was insane.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was. I can't emphasize how chaotic it was. It was. It lasted like an hour or 2 hours. It was ridiculous.
Man, that is a
very
long,
fun, as you can imagine.
That is a long Nerf war. That is like, that's a long time.
Endurance was the thing that, yeah.
That survival is the name of the game, and John has survived to come and tell his tale, and we're in. There you go.
We did it.
Yeah, there you go. So, now you've gone back, you're back in the United States now. So, what did you
Yeah.
take away from the experience, and kind of, what did you what were some of the major things that you took away from it?
The major thing that I took away from it was that it really opened up my mind to the amount of possibilities that I think life has. Like, this was something that I had intended to maybe apply for after I was done with college. I didn't know I was going to be doing this like before I had finished half of college, so it was really a blessing. I don't want to underemphasize that. It was such a blessing. Like, um, the thing that I took away from the experience is that I now really need to give back to this Lego community that has given me so much as it has. Like, this has it's been the ultimate dream to even go to Denmark and maybe work for them for a little bit, let alone like an entire semester and work with the dream team. So, um, it definitely has also let me know that the community of Lego is more accessible than I ever thought it was before. It's just very fun to share the hobby with people, and I'm much more willing than I was before to sit down with people and talk about the experience. Um, I almost feel like it's my duty in some respect to tell as much as I can with keeping in with the rules and all that, of what it's like to be at Lego, because it's a profession that I know a lot of people want to do. I mean, I myself was I had dreamed of doing that for years and tried to research it as much as I could, but couldn't find that much information about it. I didn't even know that internships existed for a while, and had people suggest to me like, you should intern for them, but I couldn't find anything on it. So I definitely want to do what I can as much as I'm able to, and keeping in line with rules and all that, of sharing the experience and just encouraging other people to do it if they want to do it, if they want to work for Lego, because it's a life-changing experience that I know I'll never forget.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I appreciate you coming on and kind of talking about it, because I myself am, I'm very interested in going into kind of a designer job. Um, and so,
Yeah,
I think I kind of see what you're saying, that, you want to talk about the experience to give people more information. And I very much appreciate you doing that. But if you don't mind my
you're
asking,
welcome. Yeah.
what what is your degree that you're going for, that the internship is helping you with?
Yeah. So I have two majors in college. One is communications, and the other is design art technology. So it's kind of a generic design degree. And then I've also a photography minor. So it's kind of two and a half things, I guess you could say. But had I not had some sort of design discipline in my degree, I wouldn't have been able to do the internship. So, um, I didn't realize that when I initially chose those two majors, they were done with the intent of maybe one day working at Lego after university. I didn't realize that that would actually help halfway through. So now that I've done that, I actually may want to change it to computer science, or some other degree, keeping the communication part. But the design bit, I think, is something that has kind of served its purpose, and I want to explore other options now.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to learn as much as you can. So, yeah, that's definitely helpful.
That's right.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
and we kind of already talked about this. I don't know if we want to say it again, but how someone else could do the same internship.
Honestly, yeah, the best way to do it is to demonstrate to Lego your passion of working with Lego, and try to make your portfolio as clean and precise and best representative of you as possible. Um, Also, I want to say, like, if anyone has any questions about this, I'm an open book in as much as I can be. So, like, direct message me, shoot me an email, leave a comment on my YouTube video. I don't care. I'll try to get to like every question that people have about it. Like, consider me, I don't know, not a source, but like someone that's very willing to help you with this goal. But with Lego itself, yeah, like keep building mocks. Ask people whom you admire in the community, like send them a build that you're working on, and like very precisely ask, like, hey, I'm having trouble with this part right here. Do you have any tips? I think once you do that, you actually train yourself to almost kind of think and work in how you're going to be working at Lego as a designer or design intern. And I should mention also, Lego offers internships that aren't just designer for a product. They also have prototyping. You can work on, designing a piece or an element. You can work on designing graphics. You can explore other directions of Lego, like where the entire company should go, or hey, should we implement this new play feature in the model? So it's not just about product design. There's a lot of other disciplines that you can explore. But yeah, practice building, ask for help, and ask questions. That's the main advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for kind of speaking about it. Um, but yeah, so
You're welcome.
while you were in Denmark, you did film some of your experience, and so yeah, kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
You know process of filming it, and where you visited and things like that.
So the video that I made was like 3.5 minutes long, 3 minutes 15 seconds, something like that, and has video clips from 5 different Danish cities, I think. Billund, maybe regions is the better word, but Billund, Skærbæk, Vejle, Kolding, Aarhus, and maybe one other place I'm not thinking of. So 5 or 6 different locations. And what would often happen is that they were filmed on weekends, and I would just go to different places to explore them. And I didn't really necessarily have the intention of getting very specific types of footage. It was just, I kind of gauged it on like, how was the weather that day? Where was the specific location I was at? Did I have my all my camera gear with me or not? And I just started collecting a lot of video clips and saving them. And I just figured I would stitch something together later, which is what I did end up doing. A lot of the filming, actually, when I was reviewing the footage, it seems to have all been filmed close to like within a 1 to 2 week period, because there was a time where a lot of Denmark was very overcast and cold, and so filming wasn't the greatest. It wasn't best representative of how the country looks. It's kind of just dark gray and bleh. But a lot of the filming was done, like I said, within a 1 to 2 week period, where I would just kind of go out and film. I would attach my GoPro to my helmet, or I would just, use a camera to film some of this stuff, or I would fly my drone out for a little bit, stuff like that. So, and then I messaged a guy on Instagram, and whose music I had discovered while I was in Denmark, to ask permission to use that in my film, and he gave me permission and sent me a file of his music. And so that's kind of how I was able to make that film. I really also, this is important to mention too, I didn't want the video to be, I tried to minimize how much of my face or any part of me was in the video, because I wanted it to be a very objective video of you as the viewer seeing it, and without me interrupting any of the frame. So while there are a few shots of me, either like, I think there's one that, like zooms out of flying the drone, or like you might see my hand, I'm climbing up on something, or biking. I really wanted it to be just kind of like John is out of the picture, this is what Denmark looks like to everyone, so as not to, like, I don't know, make it biased in any way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
My favorite shot in the whole film is whenever you have the drone and you're flying it out, like it's looking at you and then it goes up and back. It's just, that's my favorite shot in the
Okay.
film.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't know. I find that really impressive because it just, everything zooms out so perfectly because it's an actual drone. It's not like a camera on top of a cliff zooming out, because
Yeah.
whenever you do that, it looks a little less natural. So, whenever you have an actual drone flying up, it looks so good. And yeah, it looks great. So, but yeah, the film looks fantastic. I watched it the other day, and it was great. It was great. But
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
no problem. Okay, now my screen was frozen, so I couldn't see the outline anymore. But I fixed it now. So yeah, kind of moving on to your future plans. This was the question that was asked. It was about kind of what your future plans are. So I kind of wanted to I figured this would be a good way to do it. But not necessarily just videos and mocks, but just, kind of what are your future plans in anything?
Right. Well, this summer of 2019 is focused on three things. One is readjusting to life in the U.S. fully. Two is kind of figuring out what I want to do next semester of college, whether or not to add a major or declare another major, I should say. And then thirdly is kind of just taking care of a bunch of other commitments I've had, fitness being one of them, working on producing a TED Talk in the future, just kind of getting my life in order. So the readjustment bit to the U.S. has been taken care of pretty quickly. Like, obviously, I'm adjusted back to the time zone. Obviously, most of the paperwork, I think, has been completed, although that's still a bit of a concern. And then as far as the schooling bit, I'm taking an online class now, just kind of trying to figure out what I want to do now. And as for the future, it's crazy because I'm rethinking my entire trajectory for what my potential profession could be, and trying to gauge that based on my interests, not so much what major I have in college right now. I'm trying to not let that determine what I do in the future. So, like I said, computer science is something that's really appealing at the moment. But also, I'm still interested in design. As far as working with Lego goes, I think the main thing that's keeping me back from that is the distance. I love the U.S. way too much ever to move away from it. So I don't anticipate I'll be working as a designer in Denmark, but at least I know what it's like to have done that, and that's really awesome. So maybe doing some sort of product design for electronics or software engineering. Those two things are very appealing. But additionally, filmmaking. That's why I'm kind of dabbling into a lot of different creative / techie things right now. It's because I'm trying to taste the different things from the buffet of life, if you will. So that's kind of the future plan on that. And then like future videos and mocks I want to make. Let's see. Like actual future videos, I anticipate jump-starting the YouTube channel, still the same one that has the videos and whatnot on it, but I want to kind of structure the channel such that it shows kind of some self-help or just improving videography techniques, and in terms of mocks, there's some pretty cool stuff coming down the pike. One of which I think is going to be a Lord of the Rings build that is not in minifigure scale and that is not a traditional way of building a Lord of the Rings build. I'm going to render it and build it in stud.io or Studio, the Bricklink software.
Yeah.
That's kind of been my new way of building recently because I've had an influx of the amount of Lego that I've had based on, like as much Lego as I bought in Denmark with my employee discount. So it's kind of a matter now of like trying to clear out my Lego room of stuff that I do and don't need. But yeah, that's the Lord of the Rings build is pretty exciting, and then I'm also designing a modular building, which is going to be pretty cool. That should be released hopefully by the end of the summer, I hope. So that will be pretty fun. Just kind of designing one of those for fun. I haven't done that in a while. The last few modulars I built were several years ago, but I haven't added to my city layout as much since then. So those two things are pretty exciting, and that's kind of the future plans for me so far.
Yeah, excellent. I will just quickly say, building a modular is harder than I thought. I'm working on one right now, and it's much more difficult than I thought it would be.
Oh yeah, your windmill one, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm missing a pretty crucial part for a reason that we talked about yesterday, and we'll talk about here in just a minute with the news. But yeah, it's a thing. I'm not sure if I'm happy with it yet. It's not done. I still have to add another floor. It's too short to really be in the cityscape right now, but it'll work. It'll work. But anyway, so yeah, unless you have any more that you want to talk about, I figured we could get into the news.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about the news.
All right, and feel free to talk about it as well. I kind of want to hear your opinions as well.
Okay, yeah, let me open the tab. I haven't really reviewed this at all, so this is my first time seeing it. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I got it open.
All right, so at the top of the page, we'll start with the San Diego Comic-Con life-sized models. I am a fan of these. The Iron Man one, I haven't seen all the Marvel movies, but it looks really cool. I mean, it looks like Iron Man. I don't know what you think about that one.
Yeah. It looks really neat. I haven't really taken much of a close look at it until now. This looks like it is life-size and is built actually out of a lot of different colors that you don't normally see in a Lego model like this. Is this by chance in reference to Endgame, the movie, this model?
Yes, I believe so. Because
I haven't seen Endgame yet, so I don't...
Oh, you have not. Okay. That's one of two Marvel movies that I've seen. I can't believe that. But yeah, it's a good movie. So I won't spoil it for you. So I'll just I'll kind of leave this one because I can't really talk about the model without spoiling it. So I'll leave that one out. But it looks cool. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it really does. I think I noticed something about it that isn't very typical of Iron Man to be like characteristic of him, and I see looks like some stones or many stones. So
that may or may not be true. I'm not gonna comment on that.
That's totally fair.
I can't spoil the movie, so I'm just gonna stay out of that one. Yeah. But anyway, so kind of moving on, we have the Sith Trooper, and I guess what we'll do is we'll talk about the life-size model first, and then the little San Diego set that's being released. So you go first.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think think a lot of people have criticized the life-size model, actually just the entire character of the trooper, as having been kind of like a red version of a First Order Stormtrooper. And to an extent, I agree with it. There is also another version of what is called the Sith Trooper already released, right? It's wasn't it an Old Republic minifigure?
It was.
Kind of looks like a Darth Vader. Yeah.
It looked. It has like kind of a Darth Vader helmet look to it, and yes, that is a Sith Trooper as well. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that means those are removed from canon or not, but I would assume not.
I don't know.
But
I don't think so. I mean, it might just be a revamp of the Trooper. But what I find interesting about it, and maybe this is a little bit over analyzing on my part, but the actual helmet of this life-size model, the visor part, that is to say, like where the trooper would be seeing through the eyes, seems to almost resemble one of the clone troopers. I can't remember if it's phase 1 or phase 2. I guess it's phase 1.
It would be phase
1.
It'd be phase 2 because I know, I see what you're talking about.
Is it? Yes.
Is it the one with no fin on the back? It's just kind of a rounded off one.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, then that's phase 2.
Just the way the eyes kind of come down to like the nose and such, it just looks like a phase 2 clone trooper. I don't know if people will agree with me on that or not.
But I agree with you.
It seems like compared to a First Order Stormtrooper, they're more, I don't know, there just seems to be more actual, like, clear, the transparent black on a darn, I'm not doing a very good job of explaining myself, but like it looks different in that respect.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it'll be cool. Blaster looks interesting, has red accents on it. I wonder if that plays any role or if it's just kind of a design feature.
I hope, and I'm not trying to, I hope that it's not like the buildable figures where they have like, there's like a hole in the side and then you can see the spring-loaded shooters. I hope they're not Lego-ifying that. I hope that's actually in the film. But like if you look at some of the Star Wars buildable figures, they definitely have some open areas and then they've kind of replicated a stud shooter in there. So I hope it's not that, but I don't know. I can't imagine it would be. That's probably me just being paranoid, but I don't know.
Well, there's 2 other things that I think are really interesting about this trooper. Actually, 3. One is, if you look at the bottom, not of this model, but of an actual picture of a Sith trooper, there seem to be these kind of cuffs that go around the actual shoes, which is different, I think, than a normal trooper. They seem to be more emphasized for some reason. And also, what you can see on this model, the brick-built version, is this small little tool or sensor that's on the right shoulder pad. That, I don't know what that is, but that looks pretty interesting itself. It's not on every picture of the trooper, but Lego certainly added it in the bust version for their exclusive. And the third thing is like the actual blaster itself seems to be more like a submachine gun rather than like a typical pistol or rifle. It's kind of a scrunched up rifle, if you will.
That does look like, I'm looking at an actual picture of it now. I had not noticed that, but yes, that does look like a submachine, an SMG.
Yeah.
I think that, that definitely could be. But
I don't know do you think Star Wars has many automatic firing weapons? I mean, aside from like being on a ship?
Oh yeah. There's some, I'm trying to remember, there's the rotary cannons that they have, like basically a minigun. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure the standard clone rifles are at least semi-automatic. It might just be fully automatic, but and then in Battlefront they introduced some that were like pretty overpowered with their rate of fire. So yeah, I could see that being a thing because, I don't know. I could definitely see that being a thing. I had not noticed that before, but I'm pretty sure you're right. But another thing I've noticed about it, is that like a pump on the bottom? Like on most of the pictures, the troopers holding it. It looks like that might have like a slide on the bottom. I'm not sure.
Let's see. Let me go to actual pictures. I can. Maybe.
That's a close call. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It just looks more like a fortified grip. I don't know.
Yeah. You're probably right on that one. I'm overthinking everything, as I typically do. But I really like the texturing on the helmet and kind of a little bit on the armor, but more on the helmet. The texturing looks great. I think they did a really good job with that.
Yeah, it does.
And I think Lego emulated it pretty well. I mean, there's not much you can do with something like that, but I mean, I think they did a pretty decent job.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, making it layered like that. I think on the third picture in the article, there is a kind of a sideways picture, and you can kind of see how they did that. I think that looks really, really great.
It's just kind of stair-stepping bricks, it looks like, right?
I don't know if they're bricks or if they are slopes.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Oh, let me see. I gotta zoom in.
Yeah. I don't know.
At least on the... Let's see. That's difficult to tell, actually. It looks just like they... I don't know.
I'm sure there will be some more high definition pictures later on, like once Comic-Con opens. I don't know when it opens. Probably later this month. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks pretty cool.
It does.
But anyway, there's a magazine. I'm not sure. I really don't know much about that. So unless you have anything to say on it, we can.
The one with the lunar lander on the front?
Yes.
Well, the guy whose picture is on there, that was my boss at Lego. That's Jamie.
Oh, okay.
That was my manager.
Oh, yes.
I definitely recognize his face.
Yeah. And I also, I'm kind of going back to what we talked about yesterday. I like the F1 car in the bottom right of the picture. That's very, very accurate. Looks really good.
Yeah. I like how they kind of made the roll cage like the actual cockpit. That looks really nice.
Yeah. As strange as those look in real life, like on the actual cars, that would be a much better design. But yeah. So scrolling down, there's just kind of Amazon sales and whatnot. There's the Harry Potter Golden Snitch. That's actually a pretty good representation of it, I would say. Are you a Harry Potter fan?
With it?
Yes.
Not terribly much, but I can appreciate some of the builds that come out of that theme. And that looks like a really fun little model. It actually looks strong enough, minus the wings, that you could play with that with your friends. Like, toss it around, because it's supposed to fly on its own, but you could kind of toss it.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it does look. I think it's pretty much solid in the middle.
Yeah, it has a very solid structure.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I could build that with the parts I currently have, but I'm sure I could build a variation of it. So yeah, it's not too complicated, but it looks good. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, all these
Definitely
deals and everything were not in here yesterday or whenever I recorded the last one because I'm really quickly just gonna say this. This episode is being recorded after episode 3 because it was my fault. I promoted everything wrong essentially. So I just decided to put up episode 3, or it will go up next week. So yeah, don't worry about that one.
Okay.
It's still okay. Here we go. Still showing me Amazon deals though. That's not what I want. Okay, finally. If you go to episode 3 or episode 3 page 3 of the news article, it should get into some other things other than just Amazon deals. There's the Bat Cycle Battle is available early. That looks kind of cool. I mean, it's a Batman set.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I love the box art on it. That's pretty neat. And the actual bat cycle itself looks pretty well fortified. Did you know if it comes apart? Or let me see. I can click on the link here. It might show me.
I would imagine it does because it looks like there's some Technic in the middle.
Yeah, it looks like they split off or something.
That would be really cool. Because that would make that set have like quite a lot of playability.
Yeah, definitely.
But the Mr. Freeze vehicle it's just okay. I'm not gonna, I'm not super excited about it, but it's fine.
The real star of the show is the Bat Cycle, and you get a good assortment of minifigures too. It looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. The new Batman figure looks pretty good. So.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So Christmas in July, that's already over, so can't really talk about that too much. Did you purchase anything during that promo or?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah, I didn't really have much interest because I already have that promo set. I got it back whenever it came out the first time, so I didn't really need it. So I didn't really go out trying to buy anything super crazy, but yeah. So now there's San Diego Comic-Con stuff.
Yeah.
I guess we'll start with the Spider-Man. My thoughts are pretty quick. It's a Spider-Man. That's about all I have to say.
Are you a Spider-Man fan or?
I don't know much about it. I played through like one level of the game on PS4. A family member has the game, and I played through it. It was okay. It wasn't, I didn't know much about the story, so it was just kind of okay to me. But the new sets look cool, but I'm not super interested. Although I will probably go see Far From Home. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. Oh, I still have to see that one too. Yeah. The minifigure itself, I don't know if I've ever seen this before. Looks pretty cool. Well detailed. The legs are really interesting because I haven't seen like foot detailing like that in a while. The printing almost looks a little off for some reason. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure it'll fetch a hefty price online.
Oh yeah, that guy that we saw yesterday will have it in no time. So.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, kind of moving on. We have the Captain Marvel set here. I'll let you go first.
I don't know who any of the people in that picture are. Aside from, I'm guessing, is the lady Captain Marvel? Is that?
Yeah, Captain Marvel is
Why
the
is there
one.
why is there a cat with an why is there a cat with an octopus on its face? I don't know
um,
anything about this. I
I,
have to say, like, I don't.
I,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I don't know anything about. I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, so
Okay.
I've seen like 5 minutes of it, and
Hmm.
I kind of the cat makes a little bit of sense why it's like that. But I won't spoil it since you haven't seen it, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I won't spoil it then. But that
Okay.
that is in the film. I can confirm that is in the film. Um, the ship itself looks decent, I suppose. Um, I'm just it's just okay. It's not anything special.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
anyway, so now moving down, this one has gotten a lot of interest online. This is the Lego Stranger Things Barb minifigure, and I'll let you go
Yes.
first.
Well, I don't know who Barb is, and I've only watched like a trailer for Stranger Things. And I know there was a lot of, I believe there was a lot of people who were upset because apparently this supposed to have been included in like the main house, or I don't know who Barb is, but it looks like a minifigure to me. I don't know. I know there was, like I said, I know there were a lot of people who were very kind of dismayed that it was not included in the original house, but apparently this character seems to be of enough importance that Lego would want to allocate it specifically for Comic-Con exclusive. The head I recognize from, it looks like a collectible minifigure series, the Cat Lady, or the grandmother minifigure.
Oh,
And
it does.
the hair is, yeah, the hair is reminiscent of Captain America. The torso looks like came from one of the professors from Harry Potter, and the legs look like, I mean, they only have like six printed designs on the legs, maybe, or less than. I don't know how many lines there are on that, but
Not very
I don't know
many.
who it is. Can
I
you enlighten me?
I have not
Can you
seen
enlighten me?
Stranger
Is
Things.
that character central to? Okay,
I
well, we
have.
don't know then, but
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This looks like a CMF to me. Um, it just looks like
yeah,
the
yeah, it does.
the torso looks like it's from the 1930s to me. I don't know why, but it just does. Um,
Yeah,
the the leg print, I think it's simple, but I kind of like it because I think it could be used on a lot of different figures. Like, it just looks like a pretty standard blue jean print, and I think that could work for a lot of figures. But you're right, the cat
sure.
lady face, and I mean it's Captain America's hair. I think it might be in a new color. And then the cat lady face. I mean that's pretty much the entire figure. I mean it's not super exciting from an outsider looking in. I know nothing about this figure, so yeah, that's unfortunate. But
Yeah,
anyway,
same here.
so we kind
Oh
of
well.
talked about the Sith Trooper bust a little bit, but do you have any major thoughts on it?
The actual bust itself is okay. There are two things that really bother me about it. One is that the front of the helmet, I think Lego could have done something to eliminate those ugly five studs that show up on each side of it. It definitely is not a flattering look for that model. If you were to take those studs off, you'd have a really nice looking bust. The second thing is, I would prefer to see a more substantial base rather than just looking like the trooper got cut off at like the shoulders. So make a better base and smooth out the face. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with
Other than
that.
that, though, it looks cool.
Um,
Yeah.
I know that we had talked about this the other day with the Nexo Knights shields. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I've given that more
That could work.
thought since then. I'm not sure if that would work because those kind of slope off at the ends and it would make it look lower than the rest of the build. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that would work necessarily. And I'm not sure if they would have tiled that off. Would it have made it too big at the front? I'm I'm not
Uh,
sure.
well, I don't know because it looks like it is on some sort of bracket that's on a hinged, like a modified. Almost dropped my microphone. It looks like it's a bracket that's on sort of modified like hinged plate design, so that it does you are able to adjust how much it slopes. So I think even if they used like a Nexonite shield or any other piece, you could adjust that because it might make the face look too sloped. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there are other ways. I think there are better ways to design it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So, and also another interesting point about this set is that it says on the box early release edition. Not sure what that means yet. I don't think it's been on a set before, but it may or may not mean that we'll get this at Target in, a couple of months because I mean, it really doesn't matter to me because I won't buy it either way, and also I don't have a Target, so it's kind of
Yeah.
not of huge concern to me, but I know they did that earlier this year with Darth Vader, and people were not very happy with the handling of that. But
Yes. Yeah. I remember hearing some people dissatisfied about that.
but yeah. So yeah, moving on down to the bottom. There's Zebra Batman, and
Looks pretty wild.
yeah, I think well, you go first. You go first because I want to hear what you have to say first.
I mean, I have no idea where this came from. If does it show up in the comics? Maybe.
So I talked about this the other
Would I
day
ever?
with my other guest that hasn't been
Yeah.
released yet, and we looked it up. It is an
Okay.
actual thing. It was in a comic back in like the 60s. But it's
Wow.
not a very good representation of that figure.
Okay.
It's just I don't know. That's what I've learned on that one.
It looks pretty crazy. I'm looking up. Yeah, I'm looking up the zebra Batman right now. Yeah, man. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an eyesore, but
It's a thing. I mean, I don't see anybody really using this in builds or, I think it's pretty much just for the collectability standpoint of it.
it is. It has to be.
Yeah. But anyway, unless you have any more to say on that, we can kind of move on to the next thing.
Sure.
So we have the DC Dark Knight of Gotham City set. And I mean, you go first.
I love it. It's a vignette, so I always love vignettes. They typically capture some sort of environment in a rather small base plate or constricted area. So I think it looks great. The detailing is lovely. They've managed to incorporate the classic Gotham City skyline combined with the very recognizable bat signal in the background. You have the amazing pose of Batman on top of a gargoyle that you can kind of get the idea of the picture perfect picture of Batman standing in Gotham Knight, and it reminds me of the opening of the one of the Lego Batman video games. If you remember that, I don't know if they might have included like the moon in the background with a bunch of bats flying in front of it, but I remember something similar to this. So
I
I
vaguely
love it.
remember that.
I don't think I'll get it. Yeah, yeah, but it's pretty cool. It looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, I I'm of the opinion I think it's good. Um, Apparently, from what
Yeah,
I've heard, there are no exclusive pieces in the set, so you could theoretically bricklink all the parts. The only thing that you would have to get is the
absolutely.
sticker sheet, because all those like printed elements or look like printed elements are stickers. Which,
Really?
yeah, I was kind of surprised about that, but yes, it is. And
But
then,
it looks like there's only one. I mean, aside from the bat signal, that's pretty typical. Like you can get that anywhere from past Batman sets.
mhm,
It's like only the 2x3 tile is the thing that you want to get, I guess.
pretty much, and like,
Huh.
I'm sure that people will want the box. I mean, you're pretty much going to be paying for the box. But yeah. So anyway, um, so yeah, won't comment on that. um, I'm just scrolling down through. There was one other thing other than the big one that I want to talk about. Um, oh, the Winnie the Pooh thing. This is on page
Yeah,
4, 5, something like that.
I see it here. This looks really interesting. I have not seen this before. This
I
it's pretty cute.
The image is still loading in for me. I've seen it. I just need to be able to
Yeah,
see it. But there are
sure.
apparently some other ones that have been like put in, and I guess we could. Sorry about the awkward cut. Had some things happen. But yeah, we were talking about the Winnie the Pooh
Winnie
set
the Pooh.
being approved.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'll let you go first.
Well, it looks to me like it was designed in stud.io and maybe rendered in Mechabricks or something like that. It looks like a really cool build. Um, I love the addition of the sign of the 100 Acre Wood on the front of the house, with a little sign off
Oh,
to the side.
I see that now.
I'm, yeah, I'm really curious how they design some of the figures, such as I guess like Pooh's head and Piglet's head as well. It looks like some of those are currently existing Lego elements that they drew on, or somehow I don't know. I don't know how they did it. It looks really
Mm,
cool.
yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah.
but
I,
um,
I mean,
go ahead.
yeah, very iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just iconic.
Um, I have not. I wasn't like huge into Winnie the Pooh whenever I was little. It just wasn't like really heavily promoted, I guess, until like a little bit after that. But yeah, that was kind of a thing. So there, someone's calling the house again. Um, anyway, um, so it looks cool, I guess. I'm not super interested in picking it up, but it's a thing. Um, but yeah, it joins some other sets that I did not know was a thing or were things. I did not know that the Gravity Falls Mystery Shack had actually gotten to 10,000. Um, not, I mean, I'd never watched that show, so I didn't really care too
Same
much.
here.
But Space Shuttle Atlantis, I could see that getting approved, but I could also see it being another creator set. I don't know if that would really work, but space seems to be a big focus of this
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
generation of Lego sets. And then The Office. Have you seen The Office at all?
I have not. I'm actually trying to find where all the ones that show that they're at 10,000 are right now. Oh, I see it. I see it right here. Yeah. No, I haven't watched The Office. I've seen clips, but you know,
Yeah, I have not
seems like
seen
an
it.
interesting show.
It is a treasure trove of
Okay.
memes, though. So, I mean, I suppose that's a
Okay.
good thing, but
Fair.
anyway, so unless you have any more to say on those, I guess we'll get into kind of the final news topic of the week, which is the new
Sure.
VIP program.
Yes.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, nothing really affects me as much as it does other people because I happen to spend all of my VIP points just before they switched over to this new thing where it seems like you evidently have to print up a voucher or something that can only be used in store or online depending on which one you choose. So yeah,
Pretty much.
it seems like there might be an easier way to do it than how Lego is currently trying to go about it. But I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
Oh man. This is gonna turn into a rant about this.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know how excited this is, but or how exciting this is, but so I recently went and I bought. Well, let me fast forward, or let me rewind. Double VIP points happened like I want to say a week ago or so, maybe a little less. Um, and I ordered the Tantive 4 on the last day of the event. And it was during double VIP points, so I used the ones I already had, except for like a few that couldn't be used or something like that. But anyway, I used points. I know I was signed into my account. So I go in and check how many points I have, and I have not very many. So I was like, that's kind of weird, but I checked up on it, and they're like, yeah, once your item ships, they'll go into your account. Well, of course, the day my item ships was the day that they changed over the program, and so there were
Oh,
a few kinks in the system, and my points did not show up. And so I went up to the Lego store just because I was kind of in the area, and so why not? And I go there and I'm ready to use my points. I assumed that they had already been fixed, um, and they had not. Um, and then they also told me that you would have to do the vouchers and things like that. And it was kind of frustrating. I'm not explaining this very well, but it was just a very frustrating experience, to say the least. And yeah, that was
sure.
not a whole lot of fun. But I will say, I'm gonna give Lego credit. Um, they did give me some extra points. I don't know why, but I was supposed to get about 2,600, and I ended up with 5,500. So I'll take it.
Wow.
And but the weird part
Wow.
about it is I did the math, and there's no way that they could have doubled my points from that purchase, because I contacted customer service over the phone, and I sent them an email. I sent the email like 3 days before and never heard back until after I'd already called.
Hmm.
And so I was like, oh man, I'm afraid that, someone put in points and then someone else put in points. But I did the math on it and it's not possible. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I mean, I'm not going to complain. I'm happy about that. So but yeah, it
That's
was
crazy.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but you know, that's no big, I'm glad that it was fixed, and I'm glad that they seem to realize that like this probably wasn't a great launch, and they've done a pretty good job fixing it. But I was very frustrated that day, and yeah, I don't know, I was just kind of frustrated, and so anyway, but yeah,
Sure.
but I think it could work as long as the promos are good. The promos have been just okay so far. They haven't been great, but they've just been, you know, you're getting some pretty standard items. So that's kind of my opinion on it,
Okay.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
ramble on when I get into a rant, so I'm not gonna talk too much. Um, but
That's okay.
anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the story of the VIP program. So anyway, unless you have any more that you want to talk about, I think we can pretty much call this an episode.
Cool. That sounds good to me. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, no problem. So, where can people find your mocks and your kind of just where are you on the interwebs?
Sure. My two most active places that I'll be posting are on my Instagram and my Flickr account. I guess the links will be in the description of the video, so you can find a lot of Lego stuff I'm working on there. Um, but also YouTube. I don't know when the next video is coming out. I don't even know when I'm going to be starting filming for the next video, but I anticipate some stuff will be there, and yeah, we'll see what becomes of it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, I'm not on Flickr, so I haven't seen your Flickr yet, but I'll definitely check it out.
Okay.
But anyway,
Sure.
well, John, thank you for being on. If you ever want to come back on, if you ever have another project or anything that you want to promote, you are more than welcome. And yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm I'm thrilled that you were able to join the episode. So yeah,
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
no problem. So yeah, this has been episode number 2 of the 823 podcast. And yeah, I will be away next week, so there won't be very much content on the channel. I mean, everyone's pretty much used to that. I don't post that much, but it there won't be very much content over the next week or so. But hopefully, when I come back, things will be pretty good. But I do have a podcast recorded for next week, so on Tuesday, I will make it available. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say. So thank you once again for being on, and thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you all in the next episode.